Last time on the build. Welcome to the build. Right now we are tearing into the car a little bit more. We're taking off the exhaust, we're removing the rear end, and we're going to be taking off the steering box on the front. We have Jamie and Peter with us, and we'll get right to it.
I've been an insurance man's son my whole life. My dad was a life insurance agent for John Hancock for 22 years before he opened up his own agency. And when he opened up his agency, he opened up about a year before I joined with him. And it was a family operated business. He needed help. And here I am 18 years later. But with the antique auto, this is what takes the boring out of my day. Selling and insuring classic auto insurance.
Yeah, right now what we're going to do is unbolt the exhaust, but when you've got exhaust that's clamped on, a lot of times it won't move. But if we can break it loose, we can separate the exhaust and pull it off. If that doesn't work, we're going to have to cut it and then remove the exhaust. We're not going to reuse this exhaust, so it really doesn't matter, but if we can save it, we'll try to do that. Now we got it on jack stands, and you can see the drive shaft moving. The one thing is, the reason we're going from the rear to the front is the drive shaft is shoved into the transmission, so the slip yoke in there is taking up all the slack. So right in here, these two should not be pinched together. You should have about at least an inch or so gap, because when you drive, it moves in and out of the transmission. Right now there's no play at all. So we're going to remove the rear suspension and get the drive shaft out. Then we can get in and get the transmission, engine, and everything else.
Real mechanic using that.
I feel like I'm in the pits.
If you want to get the rear end out, down, and off, you can unbolt them here, and then the back here on each side.
Okay.
So just do everything to get the rear end off and out of the way, then come back and unbolt the rest of them.
Okay, super.
Probably got to get the weight off of it. I would go ahead and just do, while you got everything there, let's get these unbolted.
Okay.
These will be tougher to do. You might have to do it by hand unless you can get a wrench on this side and use the other end with the impact, because you can't get to it because the drum is in the way.
I guess I was expecting
You should be able,
to come off.
you should be able to pound that out. Actually, come on. There we go. Okay, right now we're finishing up unbolting the drive shaft. We have unbolted the upper control arms and lower control arms. Last thing we need to do is unbolt the sway bar down here, the rear sway bar. Once we remove it, we should be able to knock these bolts out and drop the differential and get it out from underneath the frame. Alright. Nope. Now we just got to get the bolts out on the lower control arms. See if we need to separate the drive shaft. Should.
I should, yep. It's just going to pop right out. Beautiful. So I'm going to get that. Do that. There we go.
That's okay.
Yep, e-brake. That's why.
Oh, that's why it goes that way.
Well, I'll hold this. You guys.
Right here, it's just the clips.
Okay, let's
Here,
get a
give me that.
screwdriver.
Give me that pry bar.
This side looks like it's already out.
Hold that.
There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. differential out, we've got to come in and take all the brackets off the upper control arms, the lower control arms, and the reinforcement brackets. We'll sandblast those down, check out the bushings, see if we need new bushings. If we do, press them in. But it's just all part of restoring the car. Yeah.
Is that bent? That's bent. That's why we were having trouble.
Look at that.
The sway bar bolt is just bent.
Yeah.
See how that's supposed to be straight?
Yeah, it looks the same, but to be honest with you, I might go with a bigger sway bar for the front end. We had to cut the left link for the sway bar. What happened was, from the impact, it got bent completely over. There was no way we were going to be able to unbolt this. Even the threads got ground out, so there was no way to do that. So the next best thing is just cut it off. Okay. Ah!
Go.
Cut it off. There we go. And what we'll
Cool.
do, this is the pitman arm right here. So we'll end up taking this off, take the pitman arm off, sandblast it, paint it, get that nice and clean. Do the same thing with the steering box. I don't know if we'll use this one or not, because since it was in an impact, it worries me. I've got another one, so I ended up picking it up at the swap meet. So we'll probably use that instead of putting it all back together, and then you got it ratcheting steering, because this does not feel very smooth. Twist that back and forth.
Oh no.
Right.
Yeah, it's
so
stuffy.
it could have a tooth chipped. It could be something. So I would say no to using this one.
And you have a new one.
And I've got a
so-
new one. We got the steering box off now. We're going to do the center link and get that out, the rest of the steering. And we're also going to overhaul and remove all of the suspension next. We're going to see what we can save. Not everything you can save, but some you can, and what we can we'll sandblast, clean up, and reuse.